Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today for a very special Facebook Live. We're going to highlight a new patient and family-centered podcast released this week by Moffitt's Patient Experience team. I'm Robin Gordon. I'm a patient advisor here at Moffitt with the Patient and Family Advisory team and also on the production team for this podcast series, which makes me really excited to be here sharing it with you. I want to introduce you to our guests today, Charlie Agurcia, Moffitt patient, patient advisor, and Patient and Family Advisory Council member, and the podcast guest of our very first episode. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, thanks.
Joining us all the way from Honduras. And Terry Payton, manager of Patient Experience Optimization. Terry is part of our podcast team as well, and was also involved in the development and launch of the Moffitts Promise, which we're going to talk about a little later on.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Robin.
Hi, Terry. So before we get underway, just a few quick reminders for our audience. Please submit your questions in the comments section, and we'll do our best to get to as many as possible. Please keep in mind, we cannot offer personal medical advice or make any diagnoses via Facebook. And additionally, Facebook is a public forum, so any comments or questions that you ask here are visible to the public. So keep that in mind. All right, let's get started with Charlie. Hi, Charlie, welcome. Can you tell us how and where your story starts?
Hi, Robin, and I guess thank you for having me here. Hi to everybody out there on the Facebook Live. And I guess my story starts here where I am right now in Honduras. I was born here. Mom's American, dad's Honduran. And I lived kind of back and forth and had a very exciting life as a diplomat. Lived in Europe and all of these exotic locations until one day I wasn't feeling too well and I started hurting when I breathed. And eventually I coughed up some blood and was eventually diagnosed with small cell lung cancer. Then we started treatment here in Honduras, but there were quite a few challenges. And, not long after my first round of chemo here in Honduras, I ended up going up to Florida and going to the Moffitt Center, which I guess is where the podcast will take off.
Great. Yes, it's a wonderful story. The care you got here at Moffitt really influenced the way you see treatment and cancer. We have a little clip from the actual podcast that we're going to play now to sort of introduce everybody to it.
One of the feelings that I most had difficulty dealing with was the loss of control, the loss of independence. I honestly don't remember making any decisions regarding my treatment. I remember sitting in the thoracic oncology clinic waiting lounge. And I was there with my parents, and I was not happy, feeling that I had no control in absolutely anything. And then a nurse came up to me. She didn't come up to my parents stood up, and she didn't address them. She addressed me. And she asked me, "Who do you want to meet with the doctor? You can go by yourself if you want." To that Charlie, the Charlie back then, who had no power, no control, who felt completely powerless, it was this shining light of control. At that moment, I felt like that nurse threw me a lifeline. She saw me struggling. She saw me struggling. She saw me in a hole, and she said, "You can make this decision. You are empowered to do so. You're not your disease. You're not your medications. You are your own person." For me, that one moment was a game changer.
Ooh.
That's so powerful. That is so beautiful. Why don't you elaborate a little bit, if you would, about what it means to be empowered and how that affected not only that day, but your entire time of care and recovery even?
Once the diagnosis, I believe, happened, I feel like I went into a complete tailspin. Not in terms of me engaging in any destructive behavior, but I just lost control. I didn't know what to do, where to go, and I just started going in the direction everybody told me to. You know, my parents, my siblings, my caretakers, my doctors. They're like, "All right, do this. You know, sit down, fill out this form, get injected here, get into these machines." And I mean, I knew that I was ill, and I knew that these were steps that I needed to take to get better. But again, I didn't feel that I had any choice in the matter. I just thought that I was doing what I was told, like a good diplomat or a good son. And that moment when that nurse approached me and that appointment I had with Dr. Kiapori, my primary caretaker, my primary oncologist, it changed my perspective in the sense of I was no longer doing what I was being told to get better. It was my choice. You know, I was involved in talking to the doctor and listening to him tell me what medicines I had to take to counteract the effects of chemo, or what to expect over the next couple of weeks, or ask me what I wanted or didn't want. And once I left that office, I knew that it was on me whether I was going to get better or not. It wasn't going to be something that I could blame somebody else later for and say like, "Oh, I just did what you told me to." From that point on, it was on Charlie. It was like, "All right, you want to get better. You have this amazing, incredible team to help you out, and they're here for you. But you got to take the steps to do it, to get there."
And so now you've done a podcast. Why? Why did you decide to share your story? What do you think you can do in terms of helping others? Or
Well, one of the biggest issues I had with small cell lung cancer is not having the privilege, opportunity, or grace to meet anyone in my position now, anyone who had actually gone through small cell lung cancer treatment, survived, and seen the other side of it. And then, as you know, I'm just a regular guy, and like everybody else, you kind of want to see somebody on the other side of that struggle, to kind of give you hope, to inspire you, to physically, tangibly know that it can be done. To this day, I haven't really met anybody who's survived small cell lung cancer. And so why I did the podcast, why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I'm hoping maybe there might be one person out there who would see this, who would hear about my story, and will have what I was looking for, that tangible piece of person that you need to have hope and kind of turn away from despair.
that's really lovely. That's great. Terry, I'm sure that warms your heart to hear that as well. Do you want to tell us about how the podcast came to be?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, it does. Charlie, you inspire me so much by your story. Every time I hear you speak, it's just so heartwarming to me. But so the PEP Talks, it actually is, if you know healthcare, we love acronyms. And so PEP Talks stands for Patient Experience Podcast. And it's intentional because these are our patients sharing their experience through their cancer journey. But to really understand why PEP Talks, we really have to go back a few years in Moffitt's history to learn about the Moffitts Promise. We were continually and are continually, growing our research efforts and delivering on cutting edge care here. But a couple of years back, we were seriously embarking on some unprecedented growth in the organization when we were opening new locations. And we thought, we recognized that we had something special here in the culture that we had. And we wanted to make sure that as we expanded and as we brought care closer to our patients and made opportunities for more patients to get care, that no matter where they went, they were able to experience that same culture that we thought made us special and made it possible for people like Charlie to come here and to feel empowered in this environment to get their care. So we gathered a group of patients and family members, because we are extremely patient-centered here, and so across the organization, and we spent some time kind of talking about what are those behaviors and those actions that we're doing so well that allow us to really make that difference in our patients' lives. And from that came the Moffitts Promise. And although that's another acronym, it really relates to some actionable behaviors that we ask our team members to do. But more than an acronym, it's really just simply our way of being. It's the Moffitt way. It's our mindset of excellence and how we always want to deliver on that world-class care. And so with that Moffitts Promise in hand, we went forth and we trained everybody about it. And even our new team members get hired on their trained on their very first day to learn about this, because we want them to continue that mission of delivering on that type of care. And we also want them to know that they're joining a place that really values this and that they're going to be working in a wonderful environment that supports this. So after we were living that promise for a while, we started hearing these amazing stories from our patients and our team members, the way that we were making differences every day. And we said, we want to get this, we want to share these stories. We want to get this out there. We want our Moffitt community and our Moffitt family to hear about this. And so what better way than to share it through storytelling? And that started the whole idea of the podcast.
That's remarkable. And how do they get made? Like, can you just describe the process of making them?
And so in true patient family centered care passion practice here, because we collaborate with our patients on everything that impacts patients. First and foremost, we included patient advisors on our team. So we have patient advisors, we have team members from our team, patient experience, but other teams in the organization. And we are involved in everything, and our patients are involved in everything from the story development to their actual recording to the editing. And you, Robin, are one of our inaugural members, and so valuable for us being able to produce this. And then from there, we spend a lot of time. We help craft that patient, carve out what we think are the very insightful, impactful moments that our patients felt made all the difference for them, and being able to walk this journey, in a positive, successful way where they feel cared for and valued. As Charlie said, not just as a number, not just as a patient number, not just as a cancer, but as a person. That's our whole goal.
Well, and it is really wonderful that now people are going to be able to share what we experience every day, which is the culture of compassion and care at Moffitt. Charlie, we have a question here for you. Someone wants to know how you're doing now.
I am actually doing pretty well, surprisingly well. I am 4 years and a few months NED with no evidence of disease, and looking forward to making it to that 5-year mark. I keep checking regularly to make sure that everything stays away and doesn't come back. And physically, I've gotten, much better. It took a lot out of me, not just to fight the cancer, but it's a whole nother set of strengths that you need to recover from cancer treatment once you make it to that other side. So little by little, it's taken longer than I would have liked, but I'm now doing much better. I'm actually I'm an actor these days. I'm in the theater in Sarasota, and it's fun to hit this stage and be able to have a full breath to be able to deliver my lines.
That's great. And how about your personal pep talk for anyone who might be reaching out, who either needs care or needs help keeping their recovery going? What would you say to them?
I would say that obviously the most important thing that you really need to look out for is your level of hope. I think that hope is the one constant feature in every single person on this planet that can drive us to beat the odds, to do things that normally can't be done. And there's nothing worse being in despair than lack that hope. So everybody has different ways of approaching it. I had a therapist, which was fantastic. I had the love of my friends and family. I have the bestest dog ever. He's a long-haired dachshund named Toby. But each of them in their little way provided into that well of hope that I really desperately needed to keep going in order to make it through all the dark times.
That's great. Terry, how long are these podcasts?
They vary, but on average, they're about 15 minutes long. This is the first one that we're putting out there, and we plan to release them once every month.
Great. So not too big of a time commitment.
No.
Everyone needs to listen because We're going to have a variety of stories from not only patients, but caregivers as well, and team members, Moffitt team members. Everybody here has a story to tell. Everybody here has something they want to share about the little things that made a big difference in their care here at Moffitt.
One of the things that I like about these pep talks is that, or at least recording it, was that it was not a retelling of my entire story. It literally, you guys do this amazing job at finding these snapshots of critical moments in our healing, in our time of dire need, and then bring them out and share that with everybody else. I think that's what I like most about the pep talks. It has each pep talk has its own theme and specific messages that transmit that really, really are uplifting. Like it's very well organized. I like it.
Well, I think that's also one of the messages of the promise. Terry, you can expound on this a little bit, just that, yes, it is first-class treatment. It is the professional approach, but it's the little things that every team member can do along the way that really keep your hope alive and keep you feeling like a human being and not a medical number.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, we know that we provide world-class medical care. What we take a lot of pride in too is to provide world-class caring. We want to care for the whole person. We want to be the person that provides those little moments in your journey that help you through to the next moment in your journey. We want to be those people that uplift. We want to be those people who show that kindness. We want to be those people who educate when we need to. We want to do all those things so that your burden is lifted a little bit more, so that as you work through your journey, you feel supported and cared for by the entire team.
Right. Well, I hope that everyone listens to these podcasts. They're very exciting for me personally, as a former patient, current patient. You're always a patient, right? But again, I think that, like you said, Charlie, the little moments really help illustrate what sets us apart.
And what's so interesting,
Definitely.
To Charlie's point, we find that when we do these podcasts with the patients and the family members that we've talked to so far, sometimes those moments vary from patient to patient, from family member to family member. And it's why we want to share this, is especially with our team members, is that they might not even realize that little thing that they're doing that they really think nothing of was the one thing that really made the difference, that started them feeling better or having, a different mindset, or just feeling like, gosh, I needed that today kind of thing. And we want our team members to know that our patients recognize that this is what's important to them. And you can take those little things and make all the difference in the world.
It's actually, to kind of hop onto that, it's interesting. One of the things I mentioned in the podcast is that basically I don't remember the name of that nurse who approached me and asked me that so important question that made an incredible difference in my treatment. But I definitely remember what she did. And so I'm grateful to obviously the entire staff and the team at Moffitt. But while you're going through that time, we're under drugs and, the stress of all the treatment. We're undertaking all types of medication, no sleep. It's hard to remember names. But it's easy to remember moments and actions and the feelings they inspired. And that's really important. That's what I tried to transmit, that I captured from Moffitt when I was there.
One of you just touched on something, Charlie, that made me remember that when we teach Promise, one of our famous quotes, our most popular quote that we like to share is by Maya Angelou, the poet. And she said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And really, that's the essence of Promise, is that by those little things, by our actions, by our words, by anything that we do, we really have the ability to influence how we make our patients and their family members feel. And so that's really the essence of Promise. That's what we strive for. We don't always get it perfect. We have our moments as well, but, we really strive for that every day, to really be that person who influences how our patients and families feel and can get through their day.
Wow, awesome. Well, thanks for that promise. That's kept me alive.
Thanks for that promise. Well, thank you both so much for answering these questions and
Thank you for having us.
participation in helping this podcast come to be. And thank you everyone in our audience for joining us today. For more information and to listen to Charlie's podcast, plus our other 2 episodes that are being released this week, please visit us at Moffitt.org/PEP Talks. And if listening to this or listening to, certainly listening to Charlie talk is always inspiring. If this reminds you of a story that you also would like to share with everyone about how the approach at Moffitt, the compassion and care that we try to infuse in every moment, if you have a story about a specific moment that you also would like to share, please reach out to us on our page at Moffitt.org and we will make a podcast starring you. No, really, we want to share all these stories with everyone. And so thank you so much. And that is it. Everyone join us for these wonderful podcasts, PEP Talks.